Hi, welcome back to another gadget report. Let's talk gadgets. And today we're talking about tourism and good and bad tourism. Recently, there's been news about the city of Venice to introduce a fee for weekends, and tourists have to pay a fee to access Venice. Locals are not 100% sure about it. So let's talk about what may lead to this type of measure and what can we do to maybe avoid this type of measure to be introduced and be a little bit more sensible when we visit other countries and when we visit other places. So come with me, let's talk gadgets. So let's talk gadgets and let's talk access fees. Recently, I've read an article and the city of Venice has introduced a €5 fee to access the city. That would be around $6.10. And it's charged on weekends. So the tourists would have to pay $6.10 fee to access Venice on weekends only, if they wanted to visit. There are exemptions. I have access to a website called Venice Comuni di Venezia. So it's a community website where it shows how you pay the fees, etc. I'll put the link below so you will have access to it. And then you can, on there, you have the tab to what is the access fee, and you can obviously have access to how to choose the dates, how to choose. There's a tab that payment of the fee, and there's also another tab that shows you the exemptions. There's a few exemptions for some people that apply for these exemptions, and they won't have to pay this fee. I am opening this, so you will come to a website where it has the reasons. So if you are a guest of an accommodation facility located in the municipality of Venice, for example, you can apply for an exemption. If you are a worker there, if you are a resident in Veneto or in the metropolitan city of Venice, if you are a relative of someone that lives there, if you need to participate in a sporting event, if you are a student and you registered in a temporary population register, if you are owner of property for which you pay the property tax there, or holder of a rental contract. So in other words, if you are a resident there or own property there, if you need to invite acquaintances to go, you can apply for that. If you are on a school trip, or it even has another tab that for other reasons. So then you click on this tab, you have all these reasons, and then of course you will find what can you do and if you can apply. These are the exemptions for people to go. As I said in the beginning of this video, some locals are not very impressed with this. We can see why. And this is honestly a balancing act. We all know that tourism can be a very positive thing, and in the case of Venice, we can see all the positives that tourism can bring, all the good for the economy. Tourists go and spend money, so it's good for the economy, brings income to the city, brings income to its residents, so it brings, in other words, it brings prosperity. However, it can also be a very negative effect on the places by noise, littering, lots of things, and sometimes and this is a unfortunate fact, is that sometimes people and tourists, they are on their holidays, they're having fun, I agree with that, but they sometimes forget about culture and being culturally sensible, and sometimes there's a little disrespect for the local culture. I'm not saying that this is the case for Venice in particular, but I know that in some instances it is. I remember, and I think I've mentioned this before in one of my videos, years ago, when I visited Japan and I visited Hiroshima. There was people taking the common happy picture in a museum where you have artifacts that belong to people who died from nuclear radiation. So I don't think it's very sensible to do that. And sometimes this is the negative part of tourism, is that sometimes you are so into what you're doing, and that you forget that sometimes what might be a good photo opportunity for you may mean a very tragic and horrible event for the local population, and we should be mindful of that. I'm not applying this to Venice. I don't think that's a case like that there, but it's just to tell you when sometimes tourism can be really, really detrimental and can have a very negative effect. Another thing, and here recently, and I spoke about this as well, there's been said that in Japan as well, in Kyoto, also there's been very several restrictions in terms of photographs and access to the geisha district in Kyoto, because apparently a minority of tourists were going there and harassing geishas and taking pictures and trying to touch them and things like that. So obviously you can see that this is highly disrespectful. And of course, this is not the majority of tourists that visit Tokyo and visit the geisha district. I remember I was there, and by no means I've never tried to take a photo of the geishas or do anything like that, because obviously it's someone that you are taking a photo of. They're not something that is in a museum, then you can take a photo, and sometimes even in museums you cannot take photos, so let alone a person that is walking on the street. You're not going to take a photo just like that. I think it's highly disrespectful. I did not do it, but unfortunately there's been reports that this happens. So this is examples when sometimes tourists can go off board and they can just step the line and become a little negative and disrespectful. Another way that tourism sometimes is very detrimental for the local population and for the local economy, it's when prices tend to go up. Unfortunately, that's a reality. Greed is everywhere these days, and if there is a tourist place, the people, that businesses there, they will inflate prices for the tourists, and then the local population, who may not have the same power to buy as obviously the purchase power that the tourists have, will be suffering in the end. And another big example of this has been Airbnb and the problem with accommodation. We currently live in a accommodation crisis, in a housing crisis worldwide, and a lot of analysts say that part of this problem, and I strongly agree with that, is due to the Airbnb phenomenon, because a lot of houses that could have been in the normal rental market, in the permanent rental market, have been diverted to the holiday rentals, and that obviously is causing a lot of problems, because those houses, those apartments are now being in a temporary rental market, whilst they could be on a permanent rental market and a family could live in those properties. And I'm talking about houses, full houses, 4-bedroom houses, 3-bedroom houses, sometimes houses with even pools and all these facilities that could be used by a family to live in, and are now sometimes empty because obviously it's way more profitable to rent those houses in platforms like Airbnb for a week than to have it rented for a family for 1 month. And that's why people take it away. And I think this is another issue that sometimes tourism can bring. So today I decided to talk about this, to talk about Venice and what is happening in Venice, and how sometimes it is a balancing act between positive tourism and negative tourism. I think we should, yes, I'm all for tourism. I'm working in this industry. I produce videos about touristic destinations and about tourism, and I strongly encourage you to go abroad, visit other countries, visit other cultures, because it's so good. It's so, mind opening. It opens your mind to different cultures, different ideas. You learn so much from traveling and from visiting other countries, that it's really, it's beautiful. It's way better, obviously, or in terms of opening your mind and going and reading a book. Yeah, and I by no means I'm not against books. I love books and I love reading, but experiencing the culture, it's a totally different level of learning, and I think is a very positive experience. However, we need to think about things in a holistic approach, and we really need to think about these things in as a balancing thing. Yes, it is good to visit a place. Yes, it is good to go overseas and visit other countries and immerse ourselves in their culture and see their food and taste their foods and their culture, their customs and all that. It's very good, but we need also to be mindful of the way of living of those people, and also understand how we can or how we can make a positive contribution with buying things, with buying food, with staying in a hotel or any other accommodation, and how we can make a positive impact and a positive contribute to their society, to their economy, and to their living standards, without going the other way and actually having a negative impact on the place, having a negative impact on the culture and on the people that live there. Sometimes we see that also with very good, pristine areas, beautiful islands and things like that, that out of a sudden are completely, destroyed by over investment and over building. They build resorts after resort, and then they take away all the character of that place. And this is something that we should go against. Tourism is good, but it's not a positive aspect of tourism, because if you go and you overbuild and out of a sudden it turns into a concrete jungle, it's no longer that place. It's no longer that pristine place that attracts us there in the first place. So I think this might be the reasoning behind this fee in Venice. However, it is a balancing act. It may also jeopardize the economy, because it will attract less people to go on holiday on the weekends, which obviously may be the most the busy days of the week, but then it's that all of that balancing act of trying to keep things going without actually having a negative effect. I decided to talk about this today because I think it is important that we actually talk about these things, because it's good. It's obviously good. Everyone likes to go on a holiday. Everyone likes to go overseas and exploring a new country, a new culture. But we also have to be mindful of these things. We also have to be mindful that our presence may also have a detrimental effect on the place itself, and we need to do the best we can so we enjoy the place without actually leaving a negative mark on it. And I think if we all think about this just a little bit, and if we all do our fair share of thought in this, and we put a little bit of thought in this, I think we can do it. So today I decided to bring this, but I would like to know your opinion, even if you are in Venice, even better. So for today, I hope you like this gadget report today. What do you think about this? What do you think about these fees of places like Venice charging for access fees so they can curb things like littering, noise, and sometimes the negative impact that tourism can have on a place? What do you think? Is this the good way about it? Or should we have another way to minimize this negative impact? I, for one, believe that education is the key, especially in terms of littering and noise and all that. I think education is definitely the key, and we should be educated about things, and it should be sensible when we visit our other countries, and when we visit places, we should be mindful of their culture, of their customs, and of basic things. And littering, I believe, is a basic thing that we don't do it in our living room, so we're not going to do it in another country, in on the streets. But unfortunately, we sometimes find it even in our own country, and that's very sad. So I decided to bring this and ask for your opinion. What do you think? Is this a good way about it? Do you think a fee would actually help? They say that the money that they collect on these fees may help to deal with, rubbish removal and all sorts of things that need to be done in Venice due to the presence of tourism. We know that Venice is one of the most visited places in the world. It's a beautiful place, and of course, it's quite understandable that a lot of people want to visit, and a lot of people want to experience that place because it is a beautiful place. So what do you think? Would this be actually a good way to solve this issue? What do you think would be a good way? Do you live in Venice, or are you in Italy? And what is your intake? Do you really think that this is a good measure from the Italian government, or should it be changed to something else? Let me know your thoughts. Do you live in an area as popular as, for example, Venice? And do you also have the same issue with excess of tourists, littering and making noise and all that sorts of issues that sometimes happen? Let us know about it. What do you think? Should your council introduce a fee like that as well? I'm waiting for your comments. I'm waiting for what do you think about this? When you travel, what do you think would be the solution? What do you think we should be doing in order to minimize this negative effect that tourism sometimes have. Put a like on the video and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new gadget report every week before I go. I would like to thank you all for watching. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.